Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from MouseSteps.com.
And this is episode number 259.
259.
Of MouseSteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel, with the opening of Toy Story Land on June 30th, which we will be talking a little bit about. We've got the Pixar Fest happening in California, and that starts next month. The Rapunzel's Royal Table just opened on the Disney Magic. There's so much new actually to see this year, so definitely check them out to book all of your Disney travel, Universal travel, and anything that has nothing to do with Disney or Universal.
Worldwide travel.
Yes. So, and plus they go to the Disney parks all the time, and the cruises and Adventures by Disney they're doing this year. So
highly recommended.
Yes.
Check them out, MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. Now we're going to start with Disney's Hollywood Studios.
We had come here mostly to check out the Pixar Place area. That's going to probably be closing when Toy Story Land opens, so we wanted to, kind of take a look. And there I am.
I didn't even see you. A little cameo there. Well, here is Pixar Place. And again, we don't know 100% for sure this area is closing, but we figured now is the best time to go and check it out before any craziness happens.
That's what I've read on a number of different sources. And right now you can see Toy Story Land is being created right behind this wall.
Readied. It is being readied to open. And as you just saw there, June 30th, we have an official opening date.
And the opening date actually came out a couple of weeks ago, but they didn't post it immediately. So I was there, I think, the day after the announcement, and they had not yet put up. I was surprised the signage hadn't been up yet, but it is now, and guests now can know June 30th is the official date for Toy Story Land. I don't know if they'll have soft openings, but hopefully.
Well, that would be nice if they do. They often have pass holder previews and DVC and all that kind of thing. So hopefully that's the case, because I expect this will be pretty nutty when it opens.
Well, we'll be in Europe for part of that time. That may be soft opening time if they have it. So we'll see what happens for us.
Yes, no one's going to feel bad.
But here is, you can see a little bit of Slinky Dog Dash over the wall, and then also the Tinker Toys. So you can just see a little bit of what's going on just kind of over the wall.
Right.
Jeff could see it better than me. I'm 5'4", so I usually am seeing nothing over a wall.
But still, the land is teasing us. It does look very, very interesting, so I can't wait to check it out in person.
And I just want to mention about Pixar Place that it opened about 10 years ago with Toy Story Midway Mania.
2009, yeah.
Right. Well, it's actually when Toy Story Midway Mania opened, it was 2008, and not all of Pixar Place was open, but generally it was open, not like the shop and all that.
Right, I see.
So it's almost 10 years old, but there's going to be a new entrance for Toy Story Midway Mania that's going to be on this side.
Yeah, we're going to see a concept art of that. Here is Slinky Dog on the track, actually. Some media photos here that we're showing, and there's Slinky Dog going by Jessie there. And, oh boy, alien swirling saucers. Can't wait to do that.
And it looks just like the Mater, and I love Maters.
And there is the entrance to Toy Story Mania on the other side of that wall. And it looks like this is a little food place.
Well, that's the Woody's Lunchbox. So okay. That is a food place that will be open, and it's just like, it's not like an indoor seating. It looks like everything's outdoor. You just go up to the window and you order your food.
Very interesting. Hopefully, as we've seen in the last few days, they're going to have some themed food. So that will be very interesting. Here's a look around Pixar Place. It hasn't changed all that much since 2009, and we're going to actually go back in time and show some of 2009 towards the end. We're going to bring back the vintage segment.
Yes,
too.
And I remember that. That was almost 10 years ago. I can't believe it, that I would go and photograph that.
Here are some details that we sometimes overlook. The Cowboy Crunchies cereal box and the Woody's Roundup thermos there in a battleship. I didn't even realize that this shop actually is a battleship game opened up.
I had, what, I'm sure at some point I must have realized that, but I haven't probably thought about it in many, many years.
We haven't looked closely like we did saying goodbye, maybe goodbye to the area.
Well, I haven't said goodbye yet. I mean, it's still only, what month is this? March?
Yes, I know. But you never know, we get busy.
And it was really crowded on this day. It's sort of spring break time. So I will definitely be back to take some photos just in case we don't get to see it again after June.
But it is an overlooked area. There's so much nice theming, little details that it's nice to take the time and look up and look around and see all the storytelling they have in this little street.
Right, and there is where Luxo Jr. used to come out.
Right, so we're looking at the current bar, which is at least nicely themed towards a brick wall, but above there in that little square corner is where, if you remember, Luxo Jr. used to do a special little, I guess you could
Like
say, a performance or show, I don't know, but that was in 2009, so we're going to take a jump back in 2009, and you actually got this video back then, and it really, even now, all these years later, it's pretty amazing.
This was very exciting. I know I don't remember everything about going on this day, but I wrote up a little article about it back then. And I guess it was like 100 degrees out the first time I saw him. But it was really fun when he came out. I just really enjoyed the music and how he danced. And I guess I didn't realize at that time, I don't think that he was 6 feet tall because he's up in the air. And so you don't really have that feel of size.
Well, I remember you telling me that when you were waiting for him, there was no way of knowing when it was going to happen. So you just kind of had to stand around. But after a while, you figured out a certain noise happened, and that was the signal to turn on the camera. And a lot of times he would start to come out and then malfunction and kind of go back into his closet there. So I remember that was kind of funny to see too.
And I looked on some websites because not only did I have MouseSteps back then, but there were a lot of websites were around at that time, and it looked like maybe at some point he had a schedule, although I don't know that he did at the beginning. Nobody ever seemed to know when he was going to come out.
Well, he seems to be part of the Living Character Initiative, and if you remember back in those days, they also had Remy, who was a living character that would appear in the Le Chefs de France over at Epcot.
For many years.
Yeah.
You had the Muppet Mobile Lab,
Right.
which started, and Muppet Mobile Lab is around now, but at that time, it was so hard to find, and I caught it for like seconds on one day, and that was the only time I was able to find it. And then it went away really quick within maybe a couple of weeks or less. And then you had Remy over at Chefs de France, who was there for years, and that was one of my personal favorites. But I really loved the Luxo Jr. was so fun.
The illusion of life. I mean, right now you're kind of feeling sad for him. We're going to link to it. You really need to hear the music and see the real what's going on there. But I mean, it really seems like he is alive. It's just so well done, and it would be wonderful to see something like that be brought again. And there's, of course, the classic pose from the beginning of all Pixar films.
And I also got like footage at night and. You have
the day. The lamp lit at night.
Mm-hmm.
We'll link to that. We also have a video of that back in 2009. So I guess we've been doing this YouTube thing for a little while.
Right. I noticed today, I went to my article about Luxo Jr. 2009, we had 125 YouTube subscribers. So, I mean, it takes a long time to build an audience.
What are we up to now?
I don't know, 315,000 or something. So it takes a while. It was, it's 9 years. But I just thought it was funny. I was so excited about that 125.
Yeah, well, everyone has to start somewhere. So, that was good.
That was fun.
So anyway, that was our little look back at 2009. We're going to take a walk, one last walk for this day anyway, through Pixar Place. And I think we're going to see a Green Army Man coming up.
I will say I think this is one of the best done Pixar areas in any of the parks. This and like Radiator Springs area over at Disneyland, Disney California Adventure.
Oh, and not to mention the Ratatouille area at Disneyland, or Disney Studios Paris.
Yes, that's one of my favorite areas as well.
Not as good as Cars Land, but pretty close.
Yes.
Anyway, now we're going to take a look at the rumored location of Club 33 here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And, of course, that would be here in the Brown Derby.
Right, and it's supposed to be where the catwalk bar was. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to attribute everything to Walt Disney World News Today because they've been on top of this Club 33 thing forever. But there's like a doorbell here where the elevator is. And I don't know that I have even ever been up to the catwalk bar.
I absolutely have been to the catwalk bar. And it was great. You used to look down and you'd see the Beauty and the Beast restaurant and everything. And the official name of that was actually the Soundstage Restaurant. And previous to that, they used to have the set from the 1988 live action film Big Business. So it evolved over the years, but it was always nice because when you were in the catwalk bar, you could actually see Belle and the Beast doing meet and greets. But anyway, that looks like a Club 33 doorbell to me, like we've seen in California.
And the registration, I guess, was sent out to Golden Oak residents, or at least some of them, and for like $25,000 to register, and then it's 10 to 15,000 for yearly dues. I've seen conflicting reports on that.
I suspect MouseSteps will not have
No.
a membership, but it does look very interesting. So we look forward to hearing more about Club 33. And again, there will be 4 locations: one in Epcot, one in the Magic Kingdom, and Hollywood or Animal Kingdom.
Yes, so pretty much everywhere there'll be a Club 33.
So now we're over at Epcot, of course. It wouldn't be a MouseSteps Weekly without a trip to Epcot these days, it seems.
And here we are at the United Kingdom Pavilion. We took the Royal Tea Garden tour last year and enjoyed it so much that we decided to do it again this year. So we booked that. We booked it on the phone, right?
Right.
Because
even though it says that you can book it at guest relations, I went over to guest relations and they said that is not in fact true. You have to only do it over the phone because they have no access to if the tour is full or not. So they cannot do it in person.
And the tour has gone up a few dollars since last year. Last year was $15. This year it's $18. There is a free tour during the day that goes between like 2 and 3 times per day. But this is the paid version, and it's before World Showcase opens.
Right. That's one of the benefits of this tour. It's so early. You can see there's really almost nobody around. So I was able to get some of these shots of where the tea tour is going to go before it got very crowded later.
So you want to be here for like 9:30ish a.m. It starts at 9:45. So if you're coming in at 9 o'clock at the front of the park, you want to come here, pretty much straight away.
Yeah, allow enough time to park and get in there because it can get very backed up as far as parking in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Not only parking, but entering into the park. But there's a variety of different, they have a dozen teacups.
Right.
And this year they've actually changed some of the teacup flavors, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it'll be like Earl Grey, but now it's maybe Earl Grey with lemon, So.
Yeah, Earl Grey with lemon. I am drinking that as we speak. A Twinings tea here. They gave us a little sample at the end. So very, very good stuff. I'm hooked on it now.
And not only do they give you samples and such, but we also had scones, but we'll show that in a little bit. But the tea garden is very similar to how it has been for years and years and years, except like the signage is a little different. Plus, again, the tea flavors that we learned about, some of them were a little different. I don't think they had the pumpkin spice this year.
Well, the pumpkin spice was in this location last year, so they replaced it with the peach cold brew tea, which we learned about. I actually learn every year. One of these days I'll be able to give this tour, I think.
For me, the biggest fact I think we learned last year was that pumpkin isn't a popular flavor like it in the United Kingdom as it is here. So I thought that was very interesting.
And not just pumpkin tea, but pumpkin anything is what you're saying. So yeah, that was very interesting last year.
So the tea tour is about 45 minutes. I think the normal one that doesn't cost anything is about 20 minutes. So you get about double the length of the tour. So it goes a little bit more in depth as far as what they talk about. Our tour guide was named Brogan. She's from Ireland. And last year we had Frankie. I don't remember exactly where she was from.
But what's interesting with her is she didn't drink tea at all.
But Brogan does, and she did a great job. Both of them
did an excellent
yes.
job. And here is the little reception at the end, and we were able to choose a tea or 2 or 3, and we had scones as well, which were very, very good.
Right, that's part of your $18. You get the tea, you get the scones, and you can try different tea bags.
In a very relaxed setting here, there was no hurry. You kind of sit there, try some teas, eat your scones. It was very, very relaxing and enjoyable ending to the tour.
I think this was about 20 minutes that you got to kind of relax with it. There's one savory scone and one that's more of a regular scone. There's a Earl Grey butter, and then there's a clotted cream as well. So it's really a nice, that is really just like last year. And the teas are pretty much, it's a very similar experience, except last year we did it on the first day, and the servers of the Rose and Crown didn't realize last year that we were all going to be out there. So it's like, it threw them off.
Right. It's a difference between going to the very first of something and after doing it for a year. So, anyway, I cannot recommend it enough. I thought it was a great tour. I enjoyed the teas. We should mention they gave us a little sampler to take away of various teas, which, of course, I'm drinking from as we record the show right now.
I would do it again. I would do it every year if they offered it every year.
I'm sure we will be. And this was interesting. When we were walking around World Showcase after the tea tour, I noticed one of my favorite booths booths, this topiary booth, and these are actual topiaries that you can buy. And let me tell you, I am tempted. Every year I am very tempted to get one of these things or two to put outside my house.
Really?
But I'm not sure. Yes, really.
For $400 or $500?
Well, I don't know the price.
Yeah,
I do
they're
not
like
know
$400 or
the price.
$500.
The desire is before I see the price tag. And apparently there was a BB-8 one of these things too. Is it really that much? I think I'm going to show the prices.
For the bigger ones, the smaller ones are less expensive. So, but yeah, for the big, I'm assuming the ones on the ground are considered the big $400 and some odd dollar
Here,
ones.
I think we're going to see the price right now. $475. So not cheap, but my main concern would be upkeep. If you had to be trimming it and keeping it in order, I don't think my gardening technique is as good as is needed to make it something of this quality here. But anyway, I'm still tempted. I love topiaries, and I think you love topiaries too.
I do. And here we have the Three Caballeros again, but we were heading to meet friends over at the Biergarten restaurant, which we were not planning to go to the Biergarten.
What a wonderful last-minute surprise. One of my old friends, Corey, was in town, and he invited us to go and enjoy a lunch with him at the Biergarten, him and his family. So here we are. I'll never turn up an opportunity for a Biergarten experience, and it was great, as always.
And the price has not gone up since the last time we were there. It's now $33. I think about a year ago it was about $30, but right now it's about $33. It is $33 for adults. And this is one of our favorites. We don't go here as often as, let's say, Via Napoli. Via Napoli is one that we go to usually a few times a year.
Well, the thing is about the Biergarten is it's especially fun to go to if you have a large group, because otherwise, if it's just the two of us, we're going to be seated with six strangers to us, and you never know. Sometimes you get very friendly guests, talkative. Other times, maybe not so much. So this opportunity, we were able to fill the whole table, so that was a big bonus for me.
I've never had a negative experience with table mates. Sometimes they keep to yourself and you keep to yourself, and I'm okay with that as well.
Right.
And sometimes,
we've gotten to big long, yeah. I mean, it
long
can go either.
and
It can
such.
definitely go either way. And I agree. We've never had a negative one. I'm just saying, for certain people, maybe not want to sit with strangers.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And they have a beer garden. Like if you want to buy you always buy the drink.
Well, here we have the beer flight, which includes an Oktoberfest, a Dunkel, a Heffenweisen, and the grapefruit Heffenweisen. And here is myself and Corey, and it looks like we both have I know for sure because I ordered the Oktoberfests, and there is my classic picture I take every time we go to the Biergarten. So they were quite delicious. What a good way to start the day. And here is a look at the
buffet.
The full buffet, and it was pretty much unsullied. So this was a good opportunity to show all the foods.
Meaning there weren't guests kind of
It was just refreshed. Yeah. Just refreshed. I was the first one there, so very good timing. And you seem to, you're a bit more of a picky eater than me, and I think you do pretty well at the Germany buffet.
I'm a very picky eater, but I'm okay going to a buffet and liking just a handful of items. Like here, like I like salad, so I'll get a whole plate of salad. I'll get the potatoes, and here you can see they have schnitzel and there's salmon. I make chicken schnitzel every so often at home,
which is wonderful.
And there are meatballs, and that's actually one of my favorite items here. And the point is, even if you're a picky eater, you can still probably find items here that you like. Plus, the dessert items are very good, and they have some fruit, usually watermelon, and at least maybe one other item.
Well, speaking of dessert items, here we go here. And there's your watermelon that you spoke of. And I think there's a Black Forest cake. Mm-hmm. There's a cheesecake there. Very good desserts and nice small portions, so you can try a few items.
And there's some apple strudel, which I don't know if I've ever tried.
It's hot apple strudel.
It? I didn't even realize that.
It's really good. So there is a plate of German goodness there. And I think I'm going to
It's not mine.
Yeah, that is my plate, of course. And there is a nice small little German beer there. So can't go wrong for sure at Germany. Now we're going to talk about the show. Now it's changed. The show has actual published show times. And previously it was just kind of continuous, maybe every half hour, every 40 minutes or so. Now there's 7 shows a day. And to me, it seems like they're longer sets. I'm thinking closer to 30 minutes rather than the 15 to 20 minute sets of the old way.
I've never timed them, so I'm not sure, but they do start at 1:15 at least currently. So if at 11:30 you show up, and I think that's the time the restaurant opens, it's almost 2 hours from the time you arrive until the time the first show is. So really, it's probably better to get there at least after noon. And it's still going to be, if you get there at noon, it's still going to be over an hour till the show starts.
And you can see it's an interactive show. There's our friend Corey and his son dancing out there. Look like they're having a good time. Very skilled, my friend Corey is, holding that beer and dancing on the dance floor. So credit to him for that. And here is more entertainment. I always like these guys. I'm not quite sure what that horn is called, but it's always a highlight for me.
We probably could look it up, but we didn't. But yeah, I mean, the band is always fantastic. And we usually come here about once a year, so this is probably our once a year unless we went around Christmas.
And here is my little tiny dessert plate. And of course you have your hot apple strudel there. So anyway, 2 thumbs up for us for the Germany Biergarten restaurant.
And now we're going to talk about the Orange Bird Magic Shot. It is not the only magic shot for the Flower and Garden Festival, but it's the only one that we have found so far.
Right. And of course, Orange Bird being one of my favorite characters, I really wanted to get that one. So I found a PhotoPass photographer and I asked. He did not know who the orange bird was, but I'd seen other people doing it, and I said, well, I think you just kind of hold your fingers out like this. So he said, well, I'll try it, and it worked. I got the orange bird. So never give up. If you see a PhotoPass photographer, just inquire. And like you said, I know there's some other ones involving butterflies and things like that. So something to look forward to throughout the rest of the festival for us.
And next, we're going to talk just a little bit about Disneyland Paris. Curious Axel's going to have a segment here. Disneyland Paris received really the biggest news it's probably had since opening day, or before opening day.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be a $2.5 billion investment, which is €2 billion investment. And a lot of that will be going into the studios at Disneyland Paris. And if you have not been there, it is not the finest of Disney's parks.
That's an understatement.
There's actually a number of really great attractions there, but it's small, and this is something that they really need.
So here he is, Curious Axel, from the site itself to tell us all about these very exciting expansion plans.
Hi everybody, back in Paris again, code again, but the good news is Disney announced a $2 billion investment for Disneyland Paris, and more specific for the Walt Disney Studios. Some concept art came out and it looks amazing. This will soon be the entry of Marvel Land, starting with very soon to open a stunt show with the Marvel characters. But when you go back there is where you're gonna see the actual Marvel Land. Frozen is the only classic Disney franchise that has made it into this new development plan. So no longer will the one castle in the Disneyland park be the one and only, because you have the Frozen, the Elsa castle, that will open soon in that Frozen land. Something that we've expected here in Discovery Land is actually going to be built in the Walt Disney Studios, and that's Star Wars Land, or maybe Galaxy's Edge. Who knows? Not really clear on that concept art, because we don't have that big Millennium Falcon. There's actually an X-Wing, Poe's X-Wing to be exactly, on that drawing. So we don't know what to expect. Are we gonna get a restaurant, a cantina? Are we gonna get the same ride as they are building at Galaxy's Edge in Florida? So behind me, you see that little tower? That's the Tower of Terror. So this whole zone behind me is going to be that big giant lake, Star Wars Land, Frozen Land. Lots of goodness to come. Should open between 2021 to 2025. We still have 7 more years to come. We'll keep you updated. I'll come more often in this place and check out what's going on this side. Thank you for watching this little segment. Back to Florida. I'm going to keep my jacket on for a while. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
It looks very cold out there.
It's cold enough in Florida, and it's supposed to get in the 40s again tonight.
Well, I think he wouldn't mind so much.
No.
Well, anyway, there is a lot of exciting stuff going on. We're looking at the concept art now. What are you most excited about? I already know the answer.
Alien swirling saucers. No, because you can see them in the development, but that's not number one. The lake. I'm actually excited they're going to have a lake.
And you're assuming there'll be a spectacular show
Well,
on this lake. Did they say that?
They say that the lake could have shows and such. So yeah, that's, to me, it will really kind of make it feel like a bigger park and a nicer park.
Yeah, like sort of like World Showcase. Everything around a lake is usually better. So I would agree with that. I think that'll be very exciting. But I think the Frozen Land appeals to me. I mean, who knows? There's so much potential. Like Axel said, another castle.
Well, it'll be, you know what? It'll be really interesting. You've got the Star Wars aspect and Marvel. The Frozen is more interesting to me because it's like a Disney animated film.
And there it is, right there.
And so it looks like you'll be walking through Arendelle, which is something that in the States we can't do.
But you never know. Something like that could make its way over here. You know, things seem to multiply when new plans are put out.
Well, we have so many, plans happening at this time. So we'll see. I just wanted to say there's actually, for those of you who haven't been, 5 or 6 really terrific attractions in the park. But it does need to sort of be tied together and really just theme better.
I think it looks great. I think this has such potential. Very exciting. You're going to have 2 of the best parks in the world right across from each other, which is not the case. And I'm also glad, not the case now, and I'm also glad that Disneyland Paris, the park itself, the Disneyland park, is not being changed in a major way, because it's almost a perfect park the way it is. So I'm kind of glad that that is the case.
There are some things about the Disneyland main park that I would change. Not a lot, but some. But to me, if it stays, similar forever, it's not a big deal either. I love the park, and I love going to Disneyland Paris in Paris, and we're going to be there in less than 3 months, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get back there.
And of course, we want to thank our good friend, Curious Axel. Make sure you subscribe to the Curious Axel YouTube channel.
That was a really good segment, as always, and thanks also to MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. Check out their website and also sign up for their newsletter to keep up on the best deals for the different Disney destinations, really.
Worldwide.
And I think that's about it. What else? What do we have coming up?
Well, we got a big week planned. I think we're going to the Magic Kingdom at some point to see what's new there. We have a Four Seasons character breakfast, which we have not been to since it first started. So that's very exciting.
Almost 4 years ago, which is hard to believe. A lot of shows ago. And so I'm looking forward to that, even though we still have a lot of food to talk about in future shows.
We still have Ohana. We have all kinds of, and when for your birthday, what was that? Yak and Yeti.
Yak and Yeti. We talk about Yak and Yeti a lot, so we can go more with the Ohana, which we don't usually talk about. And again, Four Seasons, that is one of my favorite character breakfasts, and we haven't been there in years, but I always tell everybody that they should do it.
So anyway, thanks again for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.